would like to say thank you to one of our contributors, Frank Patterson. He offered to send a scale drawing of the Fitzgerald and the ACX crystal, and after having looked at it, I think we can now definitively say that what is going on is not what the mainstream media is wanting us to believe. Now, here is the picture that he sent, and if anybody wants the PDF, you can just privately inbox me and I will send it to you. And what it shows here, the top pictures show the starboard of the crystal against the starboard of the Fitz to just kind of give an idea of the difference in the draft and where that bulbous bow would be in relation to the leading edge of the cargo ship. And as we can clearly see, that does not match the damage. Now I know we had port to starboard damage, but if you flipped that around the other way, you would have the same issue. The drafts of the ships and where they were does not allow for that puncture below the waterline to be so far down in the space in between the upper and lower damages to be completely pristine as it is. If we look here at the damage, as we can see, the damage starts on the ACX crystal almost all the way down at the very, very front and moves up and bends over the rail. And then we don't see anything. And then based on what we're looking at here, when you see the distance from where the black paint stops and how much of the red is showing, and this picture here is from the day of the accident, when she's still loaded exactly as she was, and then you put this next to where the picture in dry dock, there's no way this matches up. In scale, it would be literally impossible for this story of the Fitzgerald to coming off from the port side of the cargo ship to have sustained both the upper and lower damage simultaneously. It's just physics is physics. It wouldn't have worked this way, and I have here's a couple of pictures to show you the ACX when she's unloaded with the bow protruding above the waterline. And you can see the distance here from the top of the bulbous bow to where the black paint starts is not very far. It's maybe only about six feet. And when you look back, you can see here on the day of the accident that that bulbous bow would have been just right below the waterline, maybe a couple of feet. And when you look at the picture of this dry dock, that puncture is way down. I mean, way, way down. You're just seeing the top edge here. It's just, it would never have happened this way. And I think that scale drawing from Mr. Patterson really highlights that. And like I said, I will provide that. I have the PDF for it. I'll send it to anybody who wants. I have permission from Mr. Patterson. And this is kind of what the channel has really been all about. Everybody, bringing their contribution to it and revealing the truth of what actually happened here that night. Because I think we can definitively say that because of the Navy, now 30 days afterward, being so tight-lipped and so circumspect about what happened, that we might have been attacked. We very well might have been attacked. We had an asset in the region that was performing an anti-ballistic missile mission. Shortly after this asset is removed, the North Koreans make this giant leap in ICBM technology. I don't think that's an accident, folks. I don't think that's a coincidence. There's too many coincidences in here for this to have just happened naturally. And you have to remember the story, because we've come so far in the investigation now that we've pretty much gone beyond this idea of both of these ships being where the Navy said they were. The track of the crystal has to be something that was forged or faked or counterfeited, because a ship that size can't do the turn that we demonstrated. And if anybody has any issues with that, about 6 or 8 videos ago, we covered this. And we showed this thing doing a complete 180-degree turn inside of 8 minutes. When the man said it took him 10 minutes to try to miss the Fitzgerald, and he still hit it. So, I'm just going to leave you with one more picture here. Here is the crystal from the starboard and the port. And when you look at these pictures like this, and you look at the picture of the damage, you can clearly see that if this damage that goes all the way up to the bottom of the bridge was as a result of the upper portion of the ACX crystal, which is what we can clearly see. This damage below the waterline has nothing to do with that bulbous bow. Nothing at all. And, you know, that it took Navy underwater welding teams 3 weeks to patch this so that they could just move it across the port. Shows it has nothing to do with the stability of the ship. The ship, after having had this, made it under its own power all the way back to Yokosuka, which was, what, 50 miles? So it was able to transit, 50 miles under its own power with this gaping hole underneath the waterline. But for some reason, they can't move it from one side of the port to the other without a 3.5-week-long underwater welding expedition. Nah, I don't think so, folks. But anyway, thank you again, Mr. Patterson. I really appreciate it. We're going to go back to that picture one more time, just so everyone can keep this fresh in their minds about how everything would line up. And in the upper portion here, you can really see the difference about the water line and the draft and how much farther up that damage would be. And with as rounded and oblique as that the front edge of that bulbous bow is, at the angle they're saying that this occurred, those two ships would have just bounced off each other. It wouldn't have punctured and penetrated like that. It just wouldn't have happened that way. But thank you so much, everyone, for the support. I really appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you.